Hey everyone, I'm Kelly. Welcome to my channel. This channel is going to be a lot of me just telling my life stories and my life story. I've lived a lot of life. I've lived all over and I've done some crazy things, some good things, probably some not so good things. So welcome to the sometimes wonderful, sometimes crazy, sometimes bad, but always epic journeys of my life. So we're just gonna get started today. So the first story is, I just call this the Subway Girl story. I'll probably call it something else at some point, but let's start off with her. I think it's pretty cool. So I lived, before the pandemic started, I lived in New York City for about 3 years. And I worked at the World Trade Center location of a very well-known tech company, is all I will say. Because hello, I signed like 3 inches thick NDA before I got hired on there. So one day, it's in January of 2018, and I live in Queens, in Ridgewood, and I'm getting to head into work. I had just gotten promoted to being a creative pro for this organization at this location. And I'm getting ready to go into work. And the first thing that we're gonna do at work is we're gonna have a big meeting with all of the other creative team, which is, they're a fun, wonderful group of people. I still talk to them literally all day, every day with this like massive text thread. But this particular day in January of 2018, I'm going into work. And if you don't know anything about New York, a few things to know, and you'll learn a lot more as we go along. You'll learn about New York, LA, Colorado, and Oklahoma City. But in New York, on this day, as in most days, late January, all of February, and a lot of March is just dead. It's mainly just the locals that live there. So this is important for a little part of the story. So I get on the L train at Myrtle Wyckoff, and it is headed towards Manhattan. And it goes a few stops, like normal. And then the conductor comes over the loudspeaker and says very, very clearly, which is unusual for New York, ladies and gentlemen, this train is going express. The next stop will be, I think it was 14th Street Union Station. And I'm like, yes! So like we're about to skip, I think like 6 or 7 stops, which is great. Like I was already gonna be a little early to work because they're throwing me a little party, which I wasn't supposed to know about, but I kind of knew that they were throwing me a party because of the promotion. So I'm gonna be early. Maybe I can help them decorate, like just to be honorary. So as he says this, I'm thinking, you know what, that was kind of amazing. Usually you can't really understand what they say, and it's literally usually like, ladies and gentlemen, and you're wondering, what did he say? What did he say? In this case, it's probably the first and only time I've heard someone clearly say what was about to happen as far as us going express. Now, express just means, if I haven't just mentioned it, it means that instead of hitting every single stop, it's gonna skip most of the local stops and only hit the really, really big stops. Most of the time, not all the time, most of the time you're thrilled when it goes to express. It's kind of like you're going to work and God has parted the Red Sea of traffic, so you're gonna get faster than you normally would. So I'm thinking, which granted, okay, in New York City, this is not something people do, but I'm from the Southwest where people would say this. So, but in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what, he did such a good job. When I get out, I'm just gonna tell him, because I'm in the front car where the conductor is at the very front of it. So as I'm thinking this, and we're slowly getting up to speed, we passed one station, we passed another, we're about to pass a third. And we're going really fast, like you can feel the momentum at this point. So I no sooner finish this thought in my head that I should tell him, hey, great job, when he slams on the brake, like the hardest you can slam on the brakes. So everybody, there's probably like 12 people. So that's the reason the whole cars aren't full. Like our car isn't full on the train and none of the other ones are. So there's about 12 people on this whole pretty huge car. And the few people that had decided to stand, they are thrown violently to the floor, like hardcore. I am over on one side of the bench and completely slam into the other side. Like I have no control over, it's like I'm a bowling ball. And all of us are like, what the hell just went on? So he slams it fully into park, and the doors at this point are all locked. We can't do anything, we can't get out. He gets out, the conductor gets out. Now, once again, I'm in the very front train where the conductor is. So he gets out and he is, I can't say hysterical because that doesn't explain it enough. He is panicked, he is distraught, he is freaking complete out. So all 12 of us are now like going to the windows and looking out like, what happened? So he's screaming and freaking out and he's running around. And then the back conductor, not all trains, but most of the trains have at least one other conductor at the other end, and they kind of take turns going back and forth. The other woman conductor comes up and she's trying to calm him down, and he's literally livid, scared, terrified, all the things you can think of. And he keeps saying something, but he keeps turning away from us and then turning to her, and then he'll turn around freaking out again. So we don't know what he's saying because we can't tell. So all 12 of us at this point are like literally like little kids in front of the subway window. Like, is this a terrorist threat? Was there an accident? What the hell happened? So one of the native New Yorkers just said, hey, somebody probably jumped in front of the train. So that does happen in New York. I won't get into that too much because that's just, but it does happen. So she said, hey, somebody probably just jumped in front of the train. She's probably lived through that before, unfortunately. And all of us were like, oh. So he's still freaking out while she says that. And then he starts to run like kind of past where we can see him. So just like little kids at this point, we are all squished our little faces up against the glass and we are trying to see like what the hell is going on. So he runs about to the end of the next train car and he's like bending down, doing something, getting up. And then he screams at the top of his lungs, he's been saying, did I hit her? But he said, did I hit her? Is the third rail on? Is the third rail on? And we're like, oh, what? And so somebody's like, yeah, either somebody fell or jumped. So at this point, we're kind of panicking, understandably. We can't get out of the car. Good or bad, they've locked us in there. So one person did have the wherewithal to, I guess he'd been doing this a couple times. They figured out on one of the panels how to get one of the doors open. Now, it wouldn't fully open. You could like literally just stick out your head. So not unlike a TV show where people are sticking their heads out. I'm not proud that I did this, but yes, I stuck my head out because I wanted to see what's going on. So he's leaning down past the platform edge, and it's like he's talking to someone under the dang train. And so once again, we still don't know what's going on, and we can't get out. And one of the guys that has his head stuck out shouts to the other conductor, hey, we are all locked in here. And she's like, oh crap, she realizes this. So what she does is somehow I can't remember if she went to his section or her section. It's logical that she must have come up to our section. And she unlocks the back doors, like the other trains, parts of the train that were beyond where the person fell. And she stands there, she's like, get out of here, go that way, get out of here, go that way. Do not turn around, no, go out. She just keeps telling them, we're still stuck in the front car. We can't get out. One girl tried to squeeze, but she kind of got her boob stuck, so she couldn't move. So, which she ends up being fine. So after about 3 or 4 minutes of this, the woman conductor realizes like, okay, I think they'd contacted, there's like a firehouse like literally up the street. So I think they contacted them, contacted EMSA, and we know people are on their way, but it's gonna take a second or two to get there. So she comes to us, she's like, everybody step back, I'm gonna get you out of here. You have to leave immediately, you have to go up the stairs. And we're all like yelling at her, what happened, what the hell happened? And so she ignores that, which is good for her that she did. And she goes and she unlocks the doors so that we can start to get out. Now, here's the thing. I know logically we all should have just left, but like we still don't know what happened. And we're not just trying to be looky-loos and be curious. Like we've kind of figured out at this point, there's somebody under the train. And at that point, like, are they squished? Like, what's going on with all that? So also, like, if they're in dire need of something, I don't know that the 12 of us should leave. Now, granted, I'd like to say this. None of us, as far as I know to this day, are like fire and rescue or anything like that, or doctors or nurses or anything. But, you know, like we want to help a fellow human. So there's a police officer that runs down the steps and one firefighter that's not in his full outfit. And they're assessing the situation really quickly. And they're not at all being rude to us, but they're being extremely clear and kind of gruff. Out, you gotta get out, you gotta get out. Help is coming, you gotta get out. We're all trying to go up, like literally like little kids. We're all going up the stairs, but we're like, we gotta go? He's like, you gotta go. Were you guys sure we gotta go? He's like, you gotta go. Get out, out, out. And so most of us get to the top of the stairs. Some of the people leave because they realize, oh crap, I still gotta get to work. And also the L is shut down in both directions. So whatever city you live in, I want you to imagine the biggest like artery that you would drive on, like the biggest highway, expressway, whatever. Imagine that whole thing being shut down during the 11:30 traffic hour in both directions, because they can't have any cars or any trains switch off on the L at this point. So L is completely shut down. I'm still in Brooklyn at this point, which we'll get to that in a second. So anyway, we're watching like a flood of fire people now come at us and go down the stairs. And one guy just says, hey, what happened? What happened? And one of the firefighters from back is, a girl fell in between the trains. I'm sorry, what? A girl fell in between the trains. She's still alive, but we got to go see if she's going to be okay. We're going to try and get her out. Holy crap, she's still alive? So the conductor, apparently, when he was leaning down over the edge, he was talking to the girl. So I'm going to tell you what happened to her near the end of this, because I think it's kind of amazing. But in the moment, I'm like, oh my gosh, honestly, I just started praying for her, because like, holy crap, if she's still alive, she's probably in a lot of pain, and this whole thing is crazy and horrific, and holy crap. And then I realized, Kelly, you still got to get to work. Now, here's the thing. As I go up the stairs and I look around in Brooklyn, because it's gotten a little crazy, because now you've got like news crews coming and all this other stuff. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because once again, I'm in Brooklyn and I'm not even close enough to any bridges to walk and then walk into downtown. And even if I was, that would take like 3 hours minimum to get from where I was to get to World Trade Center. Also important to know, the night before, so this is a Thursday, we get paid on Fridays, we get paid the next day. And the tech company I work for, they actually provide our Metro card to get us back and forth from work, which is great. So my transit is covered if the Metro is working, if the MTA is working. So I realized in that moment, last night I paid off some debt. So I have zero money in my account. Zero. I just paid off a lot of debt the night before, but I stupidly probably should have waited until I got paid, but I was so excited, like, oh, let's pay it off. Anyway, so I get up top and I'm kind of dazed. I'm still trying to not think about what happened to the girl. I hope she's going to be okay. People are coming. It's getting crazier. And I'm starting to realize people are getting into whatever Ubers exist. And it's starting to become clogged very quickly in the streets. So at that moment, my friend Cody in Oklahoma City just happens to text me and say, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? I was like, Cody, I need you to pray for me. Something just happened. I can't really explain it right now, but just pray for me. I can't get to work. He's like, well, tell me a little bit more. So, and I can't remember if we texted or if we phone called. Based on he still has the text, I think we must have called each other at some point within that moment. And so I called him and said, hey, I think a girl was hit by a train or she fell. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm stuck in Brooklyn and I need to get to Manhattan. I need to get to World Trade Center. But I told him what I just told you, like, hey, I don't have any money and I don't know what to do. And I can't, like, the only artery that's quick is the L. It's shut down in both directions. Yes, I could walk to like the G train or the R or the W, but that's a good 45-minute walk. I could go north and also probably hit the other part of the R or the W, but that'd take an hour and a half. So I don't know what to do. And so thankfully, Cody in that moment had the wherewithal to be like, hey, listen, do you have the Uber app? And for a second, I couldn't even think at the moment. I was like, yeah, I have the Uber app. And it was like, why did they ask me this question? Cody in that moment had the mental wherewithal to send me a $25 digital Uber gift card so I could instantly load it up and get an Uber. So he said, hey, listen, if you can get to an Uber, this will help. So he said, maybe walk a few blocks away and see if you can get one there. Good call, Cody. I did. I walked about 2.5 blocks away, hailed an Uber that way at that location, and actually was able to get picked up pretty quickly. It still took me, I don't know, about 40 minutes to get to World Trade Center via Uber, which we'll talk about cabs and Uber in New York City at some other point. But all that to say, I was able to get to World Trade Center. I get there, now I've called and I've emailed because World Trade Center has 300-ish or more employees, and they don't really answer the phone all the time, but they have a little phone that they sometimes pay attention to on the text. And you can also email, and there's usually several somebodies literally sitting in front of the email account for the store, and they're doing admin work. So I email and say, hey, this is Kelly, I'm late, there's an accident on the train. I'm gonna get there as soon as I can, but I can't make any guarantees. So I get there, I think at I was only like 20 minutes late at the end of the day, which is kind of cool, but still. And also, I know, not the point. So I get there and I get into the party. They're like, surprise. I was like, yeah, thanks. And so there's cupcakes and everything. And so I just tell them like, hey, I just told them the story that just happened. Now, at this point, I don't know the whole story, but I know this is a big enough story that it'll hit the news, because I saw like half, like New York News One and all of them starting to come in every direction to come down near that location for the subway. So I thought, okay, I should just pay attention to the news for the, when I can, the rest of the day and in the morning, and see what the heck was it. So here's part of the rest of the story. And somewhere in my emails or my notes, I actually have a screenshot of the New York Post. So, and some of these details I'll have to like double check, because it's been a while since this happened. This happened, a few years ago. So it was a young law student, I think from Columbia, 23. She had the flu. So as it turns out, now listen, if you don't believe in God or providence, for this purpose, it's fine. I do, but don't tell me somebody wasn't involved. So what happened was, remember back when I said, oh, this is so great, he speaks so clearly, I should tell him. Right as I'm thinking that, and he's getting the train up to speed, as we're going past the third station that we're gonna skip, and we're going as fast as I've ever been on a train. Granted, it's subway train, not bullet train. But anyway, so as the cars go by, she perfectly passes out in between the two cars. She ends up somehow, I don't know how, underneath that second car. And she's like pinned, but she just has, I think she had 2 broken ribs and lacerations and bruises, but she didn't die. She survived. So there's a picture in the New York Post the next day. I think they did it on the website later that night. The firefighters had a flashlight, and all you can see are these little eyes, like she's coherent, she's able to talk to them, etc. And she's looking up at the firefighter having a conversation, and he's, I guess, trying to explain to her, hey, you're gonna get out of here and it's gonna be okay. So I still have that picture somewhere. I'll see if I can find it at some point. Also, for what it's worth, like on this channel, I would love to see if I could find her and interview her, because I thought that was so crazy, but so miraculous at the same time. Like, what a wonderful and amazing thing to have happen, as far as like, holy crap, you didn't die. Now, it's not wonderful, of course, that she passed out or that she got pinned, all that other stuff. But I thought that was kind of a really cool thing. So all of the stories that I've lived through, and this is literally one, this isn't even the best story of things I've lived through, witnessed, or whatever. But all of the stories I've lived through have given me some kind of moral of the story that I have taken away with me. This particular one was, holy crap, this is amazing. You never know when something crazy will happen, but something good will also happen at the same time, which that happens a lot in my life. When things are like, holy crap, desperate, it's how can it possibly get worse? And then all of a sudden it does get worse, but then something amazing happens. So I'll have to tell you all about that as we go along. But the moral for this story for me was probably a couple things. Number one, don't spend all of your money out of your account if you don't have to. Duh. Like, you just don't know whether you live in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, or you live in New York City. You don't know what's going to happen on a regular basis. So maybe think things through a little bit more. The other thing was, man, in the moment, it was really actually cool to see people like sincerely wanted to stay and help. We were not qualified for anything. I don't think any of us. Like I said, as far as I know, nobody said they were doctor, lawyer, not like she doesn't need a lawyer, but you get the idea. EMSA, fire person, whatever. We're just normal people trying to get to our jobs. And we're everything from 2 guys in full decked out suits, a construction guy, a woman just wearing like normal clothes, me headed on the way to my tech company. And it's just like normal people. But in that moment, we couldn't help but want to stay and see if we could help her. But hey, get the bleep out of the way if help is coming. That's sometimes the best thing you can do, is get out of the way, which we did, but we could have moved a little bit faster. Now, we didn't hinder anything, but it really reminded me that when I've seen other accidents or problems, hey, the best thing you can do is get back and let the people who are good at what they're going to do, let them go be good at it. So I think that's the other thing. And just like, hey, life is going to surprise you, I think. So you're going to see how life has surprised me, good, bad, crazy, and wonderful in our time together. That's just one little story. I guess I'm going to call it the Subway Girl story, but I don't think that does it justice. So maybe I'll ask my family and see what they have to say. But welcome to my channel. This is the first of many stories. I hope you listen to the rest of them.